And WENY Political Analyst Dr. Jim Twombly joining us in studio tonight to preview the State of the Union. Jim, later this evening, President Biden will deliver his State of the Union address to a divided Congress for the first time in his presidency. Now, that particular fact is just one of the factors making up the political environment for this speech tonight. In the background, there's some still formally unanswered question about whether Biden will seek a second term in office. But before we get to all of that, Jim, can you just remind us what the State of the Union address is, its history, and whether or not it is politically possible for a president to come out and say the State of the Union is bad?
Well, the Constitution provides that the president shall from time to time report to Congress on the State of the Union. No clarity as to what that is. But prior to the 20th century, this was not a big deal and was often done simply in writing. As the role of the president expanded and we had the advent of radio and television, the ceremonial aspect of it grew. Even in the earlier days of TV coverage, the speech was still given during the workday, as when Truman delivered the first televised address. It was Lyndon Johnson who delivered the first primetime address, and that tradition has just stuck with us since.
Okay, and has any president ever said the State of the Union was not good or strong, and would that be risky to say?
Well, I just saw this the other day. Gerald Ford did say that the State of the Union was, to quote him, not good. It appears that he was the most recent one, and I'd have to dig to see if there are any more, but even Ford recognized that it was risky to do so. We generally don't want to hear such harsh truths, but I think something like that can be refreshing.
Okay, and then looking ahead to tonight's speech by President Biden, what is the general atmosphere of the speech, and what do you expect he'll say tonight?
Well, by most accounts, Joe Biden has had a good week. He got some really good economic news last week with over 500,000 new jobs created in January, the lowest unemployment rate since before Neil Armstrong walked on the moon or the Mets won their first World Series. They had slowing inflation, falling mortgage rates. He also had the Chinese spy balloon as a distraction from other pesky issues like documents. Certainly some of his critics are suggesting that he should have shot down the balloon sooner. They might be singing a different song if doing so had caused harm on the ground. Without diving into a long list, he'll likely want to point to his legislative accomplishments, the jobs growth during his administration, and look ahead to what he hopes to accomplish in the next 2 years, including increasing taxes on billionaires. In other words, he'll be looking to set the stage for what most of the political world assumes will be his announcement sometime in the near future that he's running for re-election.
Okay, and of course that remains to be seen, but Jim, you'll be back with us tonight for WENY News at 11 to look back on the State of the Union address.
Indeed I will.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure.